Hi, so this is the second part of the video typing. Firstly, thanks Karen and Laura for your feedback. Do appreciate it. It'll be interesting where this goes. And hi, Dave Shannon. When I saw the feedback from Karen with some extended questions about the feelings side of things, I was actually quite excited to talk about it. But today's been today's been a really tough day. Essentially, the past couple of days kind of led into this tidal wave today, where some things have been really uncovered that have made me quite uncomfortable. So, firstly, I am not going to make this video public. I'm going to keep it unlisted, just so I can be a little bit more authentic. Not authentic, but so I don't have to choose as carefully my words or the things I'm willing to explore and share. Yes. So I guess what's interesting is, firstly, after the very first video, I was actually very proud of myself. It's not that that video showcased someone that I'm not, but I think it showed it for me. It showed that at least for me personally, I had a side to myself that I'd like to tap into more often, or on dial, so to speak. I was just in a contemplative mood that day, and yeah, I would like to be able to be that person more often. I suppose less focused on achieving something. But yeah, like I said, since then a few things have happened. I've gone feeling on top of the world, peacocking that feeling to whatever it is I'm now, this cocktail of emotions. Look, I'm not going to talk about that series of events. At least I don't think I will. Mainly because I'm not seeing this as a form of therapy or whatever. I'm just more highlighting that I'm in this interesting emotional space. So hopefully we'll see where this leads to. Firstly, because there wasn't much about sensing beforehand, I just want to say I've got my glass of wine and Pinot Noir, Tasmania. It's not too bad. It's not as earthy as what I'm used to, and I'll leave that as my sensory observation. Okay, so what Karen said was the kind of questions I find really interesting are the ones that bring out a person's shadow thoughts, what they don't normally reveal about themselves. You'd know best what that would be for you, which is fair, and whether you'd be willing to answer them though. For someone with FI demon, this might be what makes you cry, what provokes you to anger, how do you handle the anger, what do you do with feelings of insecurity. So look, I'll go into that. Firstly, I just come to this feeling because there was some discussion in another thread about demon sensing, and what I've realised in this tidal wave today is there's all these things, cues and information that I've picked up that I've just ignored for whatever reason. Even though I've known that they exist, I've specifically chosen not to incorporate them in my thoughts about why things are the way they are. It's quite interesting in this space where suddenly you've had this reality and it's like the curtain's fallen down and now you're seeing things potentially the way they actually are. It's possible, actually it's highly likely, that once I process this even further, it will be even further removed from where I think they are today. Okay, so what makes you cry? Yeah, that's a hard question. I don't cry very often, if at all. What I will say is that I'm in positions a lot more often where I'm close to crying, where something I don't like to use the word resonate, but something resonates with me, and I can feel that I'm at this point where I want to tear up, and I stop myself from doing it. And it's not shame. I'm actually I'm not ashamed about it. I actually wish I could push myself to go through it. Maybe it's something I need to work through, but I don't know. Like I even had this news article that I read maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago about a 5-year-old that got trapped in an elevator. And obviously the elevator went up, and their body was halfway through it. So I mean, you know what happens next, and geez, that actually quite impacted me. I guess I was associating with what would happen if that was one of my kids. Just a lot of mixed thoughts. Even today, with this whole overwhelming feeling, at one point I really felt like it'd be nice to cry. Once again, I don't know. I'm not at a maturity point where I can say why I don't want to do it. In this case, I was at work, so I can understand that. But in general, look. I guess the question is what type of things make me cry. I guess the things that I probably have experienced. So I've got more. I've got a higher degree of empathy towards, because I've been through those shoes. I've walked in those shoes, I should say. Look. Actually, that's a really hard question for me. I'm going to skip it. What provokes you to anger? So that one's a lot easier. Definitely something I've been trying to dial down. Look, I personally don't call myself an angry person, but I think my frustrations do manifest physically. And that doesn't mean through necessarily violence. I just mean physical as in extroverted, take it out into the world, which a lot of people tend to treat as anger. For me, it's not. It's a bit more nuanced than that. I see it as a series of escalated cues that people, for whatever reason, they're not cognizant of. I'm not entirely sure why, but for me, it doesn't feel like I go from 0 to 10, but for a lot of other people, it does. Probably the thing I'm most prone to doing is raising my voice, asserting dominance. So what provokes me? Normally, it is. I think it comes when I feel like I'm at an impasse with whoever the other party is. When it feels like they're not hearing me. It's an odd situation because I in my world, I'm actively listening to people. The reason I'm laughing at that is because some of the stuff I found today is that people feel that, no one said it directly, but the inference is that they feel that I'm too quick to judge. So they're essentially, in my world, I'm spending all this time genuinely listening to people, trying to discern what their motive and intent is against their behaviour and what they're saying, trying to find their underlying truth, so to speak. And they're not feeling it like that at all. So I guess, especially professionally, I'll break it into professionally and home then. So professionally, I've had cases in large meetings, maybe like 12, 15 people, where somebody is challenging what I'm putting out in a way that is not either not authentic to what we're talking about, or they've genuinely fallen asleep and not paying attention. And sometimes that's gone into some sort of back and forth, and definitely in one case, I recall actually slamming my fist on the table, which really sent the wrong message as a leader. I was actually ashamed. I was ashamed of those actions afterwards, but in the moment, that felt like how I had to vent that out. I mean, obviously, not everyone does it, but I took ownership of that and apologised. And you move on. But so what provoked me in that scenario is, I suppose, people being intentionally ignorant. Yeah, okay. In some ways, I'd be quick to write them off as obtuse, but I'm trying a lot harder these days not to. Sometimes people have genuine reasons why they struggle to pay attention, and I'm trying to be more cognizant and empathetic towards that. At home, what provokes me to anger? This one I have to be careful what I say. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely in the past 3 to 6 months, I don't think I get in those type of in ENTJ language, FI bomb land as I used to. But I think quite often it used to be when I've built up myself to this point of frustration. Sometimes I just want to be left alone, just to have some time to process it. So when you're constantly prodded, for whatever reason, sometimes I exaggerate the anger as a way of saying, well, essentially fuck off, because the English is not coming through. So I'm definitely guilty of over emphasizing what I'm actually feeling, and then but the question was, what provokes you to get to that point? I think once again it comes down to feeling time pressured. So I guess feeling there's a tight deadline where I just don't have time to cover these type of details, and in that stressful state, I just want to take care of it. I don't want to deal with this right now. I just want to do it. And so it just manifests in a way that's not healthy. I'm aware of that. Yeah. Okay, how do you handle your anger? I guess in some ways I've actually covered that. How do you handle your anger? Yeah, I mean, look, ideally I'd like some time to be left alone. I don't know, like, it's weird. Even though I'm being left alone, I'm not really thinking about anything. Sometimes I just want to sit on my phone, watch some YouTube, just take my mind off it and then forget about it, and then I can move on. I just need that window of time. It could be as little as 5 minutes. Now I'm trying to be a bit more not assertive, but I think I'm trying to be a bit more direct. Say, look, I've given you this cue, you've ignored it, so I'm escalating this by saying directly, I'm frustrated, give me some space. And that's what I wasn't doing before. I basically was taking some form of action, and I was hoping the other person would read my mind. So now I'm trying to put myself in a position where I can't expect someone to read my mind. I just need to verbalize it out. Yeah. What do you do with feelings of insecurity? Okay, so I'll drink to that one first. That's a good question. In the past, definitely we've been insecure. I think of being very quick to write off people. Yeah, I've cut off a lot of people in my life, and I guess the reason why that comes straight to my mind is part of this whole title over the past 2 days. I've kind of gone through that same cycle again, and I guess I've been through it enough times now that I go, why am I doing this? Is there a better way? Am I really? Am I? is this in the best interests? Am I cutting these people off for genuine reasons, or am I just trying to run away from something I don't want to confront, or this insecurity? Just on that note, it's quite interesting actually. I went to a philosophy talk on the other day. It was about desire, and I came in with this notion that having desires is almost like daring to dream, which that's what I said, and a little bit more. But this person challenged that notion and was said desires are essentially manifestations of your insecurities, which I thought was actually quite interesting. I haven't really gone any further into how much of that I agree with, but definitely I thought there is some relevance to that, enough that it swayed my perceptions for the rest of the day, at least. But going back to this, what do you do with feelings of insecurity? So in the past, definitely when I was feeling insecure, I think I'd tend to retreat of sorts. I guess go lone wolf, do my own thing. That's what I'd say. With friends, if I was feeling insecure, I'd create separation. With acquaintances that I wasn't sure where the boundaries were, I'd start poking them, try and elicit responses, sometimes intentionally extreme, which could result in them walking away. And that was what I can see now to be a stupid form of loyalty test, which again is an insecurity loyalty for sure. Before this whole tidal wave, I would have said I've done a lot of work on those insecurities, especially through journaling, trying to force myself to ask why am I taking so much relevance in this? What's the underlying reason behind it? Because like everyone, I'm guilty of finding reasons that I think are plausible and bullshit myself so much I even convince myself that's the reason. And then when I start asking myself why and trying to dig deeper, I find these truths. So I guess the biggest insecurity, well, no, it's not the biggest, but the most recent insecurity that I dealt with is relating to this whole cut-off situation. And the worst thing is I've realised that the cut-off situation is just masking something else even deeper, much bigger issue, something that's probably been a white elephant for at least 5 months, at least. And so what do I do with that insecurity? Well, what I'm doing with it now is I'm journaling it, I'm talking to people about it, I'm trying to reiterate through it, ask myself why, rethink about the things that I've seen, question myself how I've drawn this conclusion. Is it based on all the variables and what information am I missing? I would like to be able to do that a bit more real time than what I'm doing, but I'm definitely doing it a lot quicker than what I was capable 1, 2, 5, 10 years ago, that's for sure. That's feeling. I guess I guess maybe, okay, so Karen's also said, or maybe an easier question to answer could be, in which ways do you recognize yourself being weird? I don't know, I've got a corny answer to that. I mean, I understand what you're saying there, Karen. I guess my answer to that is I think everyone's weird in their own way, so if anything, that's actually normal. So the people that are weird are the ones that aren't being true to themselves. Actually, this is probably quite a stupid statement. A lot of people aren't true to themselves, including myself. Okay, so which way do I recognize myself being weird? I don't know. I mean, I think I do it. I, I guess something weird is the way I do small talk is quite different to what most people do small talk. Like, I don't really care about if I meet someone. I guess I go straight to big talk. I want to know about them, what their motive and behaviors are. I guess their reason d'etre, reason to be, reason to work, reason to live. I don't really ask things like where do you work, what do you do, where do you live, do you have a family. I don't really care about that type of stuff, and I didn't think that was weird, but now that I've been going to a lot of meetup type events recently and associating with a lot of people that are completely far removed from the professional circles that I'd integrate with, I guess you could say it is weird. I seem to know a lot of things about people that they might not necessarily share with everyone else, but I don't know the things that they share with everyone else. So yeah, I suppose that's weird. To suss out the imbalance between the lead and the inferior function. Yeah, okay. Don't know. And a follow-up could be in ways which you see others being weird. Okay. I don't know. One thing that I guess growing up, I never really associated with feelers that much. I just found them too wishy-washy, no direction, flaky. Those things are quite off-putting to me, even these days, especially now that I'm more time poor than ever. I don't need a script. In fact, I hate a script, but what I want is commitment. So sometimes the easiest way to get that commitment is through people that follow a script because it's implicit. But now that I've been put into exposure with a lot more feelers in a non-professional environment where they can actually be more themselves, I'm seeing a lot more variety in I guess human personalities and whatnot. And I don't find it weird. I think it's normal that everyone thinks differently. And I actually enjoy seeing those different perspectives. It helps give me a bit more empathy into other people's plights, but also it helps me to explore myself further. Instead of looking at myself as black and white, start deciphering those levels of grey. Yeah. What else is there? I mean, okay, so those are those questions. Thank you again, Karen. I really do appreciate it. What else is there to talk about? Maybe I can try and give some examples of the 8 different functions of at least how I see it, and then we can see where you think they fit into. So, I for a variety of reasons, consider myself ENTJ. So, lead function is TA. And what I'd say to that is, I think I've learned with a bit more age to disregard my TE or not value it as highly. in the sense of when I was younger, I definitely put a lot of value into externalized information. And so I definitely was a master at accumulating information and then distilling it down into something that was presentable. Or take a lot of information, refine it down to something, and then using that as an argument. Definitely did it a lot. But what I've realised as I've gotten older is that information, just because someone's written something doesn't make it true or valid, and so it's quite important to vet that. So I guess now, even with this whole typology thing, there's so much different sources of information out there, and so my method has been I read all these different resources, whether it's objective personality, socionics, MBTI, blah blah blah, personality hacker, thought catalog, all this type of different shit, and I go to myself, okay, that's something that I can observe in myself. That's something I've seen in others. That's something that to me seems to make sense, and I go, okay, so I've kind of got my own working model of what I'm willing to choose to believe. I guess that's a combination of TETI. So look, I mean, I guess from if you want to go off your stereotypical efficiency thing, I'm definitely more efficient than pretty much anybody that I've ever come across, by far. Even with what I do, things that take other people 2 weeks, literally I can do in 4 hours. I don't know, there's just this thing, if I want to get something done, I can just put myself in the zone, and there's this intensity to it, and it's relentless. It's kind of hard to explain, I guess. I mean, I didn't really know that was different to other people until recently. I just thought everyone else was lazy. Yeah, but I guess a small example is when I first moved in with my partner. I think one of the cool things we got into arguments was how to organize the kitchen. It was important. She wanted everything in a catalog thing size. Small at the front, large at the back. Me, I was like, what do we use the most often? I don't want to have to be reaching over things. If we use it the most often, put it at the front. It's that simple. Yeah. Okay, so next one's introverted intuition. Personally, I think that I demonstrated introverted intuition in the last video. In the sense of I was exposed to something new. So it wasn't about accumulated experiences I've had in the past, or essentially put into a new situation. I started throwing out a couple things and then refined it in, and then worked towards a conclusion. So in one of the comments I wrote back to Karen, I was talking about a funnel, and in the sense of the funnel can even go outwards in or inwards out. And so I think at the start I threw a bunch of shit out there, and then distilled it down to something that I did actually agree with, believe in. Even though if I had to say something on the spot, I would never come up with those things. That's why I found the video fascinating. Okay, I'm gonna start rushing through this because it's been 30 minutes. The last video was 20. The typing is a maximum of 60, so I've got about 10 minutes left tops. Extroverted sensing. It's hard. I find whether it's demon or savior doesn't really matter. I think I'm very aware of my environment. It's that thing where I don't have problems with directions. If I'm I can close my eyes, walk around, no issues. The 5 senses are important to me. I definitely, I have no doubt I've got awareness of my surrounding environment. at all. I do love landscape, whether you want to call that savior, extrovert sensing, I don't know. Definitely, I didn't have appreciation for senses until I was a bit older. I was never really that sporty. I've more learnt sports from a competitive point of view, as in like someone kicked my ass and then I'd say, well, fuck you, I'm going to start practicing this. Not master, I've never mastered anything, but become proficient at it, kick their ass. And I'd say, yeah, all right, done. That's happened a couple times for sure. But I would say I definitely have awareness and perception of the things that are around me, but I don't like double checking things at all. Now I don't know if that's more related to demon extroverted sensing or this really efficient TA or something else altogether, but I really struggle to double check things. I guess I mentioned that more as a token thing to some of the more socionics and Dr. Beatty references about SA. I don't really want to cloud that, so I'll just void that what I said. Introverted feeling, I think we've covered in some detail through the questions that Karen asked, and if we go into the shadow functions, which OP doesn't really say exist, but I'll cover it anyway, just the other four. Introverted thinking, I get really frustrated around introverted thinkers when we're trying to derive something. Just this need to be precise about everything. To me, close enough is good enough. I'm a big believer in the Pareto rule, 80-20. I don't know if that's TE, NI, or something else altogether. Once again, I don't want to cloud your thoughts, but for me, you get to this point, and 80% you just fill in the blanks for the rest. Like, I know what you mean. I talk vaguely quite often, but I do know exactly what I mean, and if prompted, I can expand on it further. But as for TI, I would say that I've come to appreciate its importance more often. I think that comes back to what I was saying before with the whole TE thing, where I think it's important to challenge all those type of sources and references. What's the truth? Which is interesting. It ties back to the first video. I was saying what is the truth with social media these days. Extroverted intuition. I guess I've always seen myself as a creative problem solver, but I don't like being creative for the sake of it. In fact, I can't do it. I don't know how to push myself to do it. But so like if I do, I don't do things like brain teasers and all that type of stuff, because I give it a couple